are laundering or anything involving that, you get 5 years. No more, no less. And there's a reason for it. There's a constitutional reason for it. You can't start making claims against someone that happened 10 years ago because the evidence doesn't exist anymore. The witnesses are gone, memories have faded. And the law is really clear. It's not that the courts will decide, is it fair or not? Our Constitution and our laws say it's unfair, you can't do it. And that's why the government cannot come forward.
Gracias, Gustavo Castillo de La Jornada. Yo quisiera preguntarle, ¿qué delitos ya prescribieron en Estados Unidos? Según la apreciación que nos están dando. 1, 2, ¿son los mismos delitos que se le imputan en México? Y 3, entonces, ¿hay aceptación de que Estados Unidos sí lo investiga por sus vínculos con Antonio Argüelles? Gracias.
All the charges that have been mentioned in the press have expired as far as the United States is concerned. These are very good prosecutors in the United States. I know them all. And if they had something there, they would have charged him already. That's the way they operate. They don't delay things. If they had something, they would have charged him. It's easy to prejudice somebody in the press. It's easy to make statements in the press about people. But it's not easy to file charges because you have to have evidence. They don't have the evidence. Plus, again, I repeat, it's long expired. All their allegations about buying property, all your allegations date back to the 2002, 2003. You cannot charge somebody with any type of money laundering going back that far. The U.S. prosecutors know it, and that's why nothing's happened. Plus, again, they don't have any witnesses. They don't have any credible witnesses to make these claims. Because if they did make these claims, they'd have to go to court. And when they go to court, they just can't talk about what happened. They have to put documents, show documents. They have to have credible witnesses. They don't. So they're not going to charge somebody when they're empty-handed in terms of their presentation. A judge would throw it out of court because of the lack of evidence and because it's time barred. And they know that.
Phil, 2 questions. First of all, you just said the prosecutors are very good in the Southern District. How common is it that they would confiscate property alleging that it belongs to somebody and have to give it back? Do you cite recent cases against other major figures in the United States or in Texas that have had their property seized and the government had to give it back? That's the first question. The second question is, if the governor doesn't face criminal charges in the United States and it's not his condominium, why exactly are you here? It suggests that you all think that they are suggesting that there's some sort of conspiracy between the Mexican and the U.S. government to get Governor Yarrington in Mexico.
Which order?
They're getting back property. If it's not his property, why the concern?
There's no concern on our part. The concern is the press. The concern is the government's press reports that it's Governor Yarrington's property and that he engaged in money laundering. He didn't engage in money laundering. It's not his property. And that's our position. It's simple. We don't suspect that there's a criminal investigation. We never thought there was. There couldn't be. There's no evidence. Do I know of situations where the government went after property and had to give it back? Absolutely. I've had cases over the years where I fought cases and got the property back. The government goes after property, and people that have claims to the property will file those claims and ask for the property to be returned. In this case, nobody did that for whatever reason. But it's not our property, so we weren't in a position to file a claim. But I guarantee you that if he had bought the property, Governor Yarrington, even under the current climate, we would have made a claim to it because we would have put the government to the test because they have the burden to prove that the property should be forfeited. And we would have put the government to that proof. and they would have had to put witnesses up there, and they wouldn't have been able to do it. They don't have anybody up there. If somebody owns that property and filed a claim to it, they would win because the government has no evidence. But for the government and anybody to insinuate it's Yarrington's and he doesn't want to be involved is incorrect. It's false.
Secondly, so if it's not his property and it doesn't face criminal charges, why are you here?
Why am I here? Because I'm here.
Is there a conspiracy between the U.S. and Mexican government to get Governor Yarrington?
I have no idea what the government's intentions are. All the reason I'm here is because there's been a lot of reporting that Governor Yarrington is under indictment. And I get asked weekly, is he under indictment? Has he been arrested yet? Are charges pending against him? Is there a sealed indictment? I keep getting these questions asked by U.S. press. And we're here to tell you today, no, there's no criminal charges. There's no indictment. There's no sealed indictment. I've been never told by the government he's going to be indicted. I've never been invited by the government to discuss his case. There's nothing in the United States. We want to clear the air today and tell you there is nothing in the United States.
How do you know there's no sealed indictment? I mean, the whole point of having a sealed indictment is that it's secret.
If there was a sealed indictment, why would they have asked him to leave the United States? No, it makes no sense.
Any category to say there's no sealed indictment?
Based upon the fact that they told him to leave the United States, yes. These prosecutors are smart. They're not going to have a sealed indictment. The reason you seal it so you can sneak up on somebody and arrest them. So they're not prepared for it. They don't know about the investigation. You want to seal your indictment because you're confidentially investigating it, and then you have a sealed indictment, and then you want to go arrest them before they can leave the country. You don't do this investigation. You don't seal the indictment. At the same time, tell somebody, oh, your visa's expired, you're no longer welcome here. It makes no sense. That's why I'm confident in my remarks that there's no indictment, sealed or otherwise.
You must have asked the prosecutors, what are you up to with this?
They give me no response back. Nothing. And that tells me that there is no charges. There have never been, and there never will be.
Abogado, buenos días.
¿Nombre y medio?
Arturo Ángel, del periódico 24 Horas.
Gracias.
Dos preguntas nada más. En el expediente en los Estados Unidos de la causa civil por la cual se hace referencia a este inmueble en Texas, en Isla del Padre, si bien no hay una acusación penal en contra de Yarrington, se menciona que la propiedad que está a nombre de Napoleón en realidad pertenece al exgobernador. Yo quisiera saber si ustedes saben en base a qué se hace esta afirmación en el expediente, que bueno, la podemos consultar todos y ahí está a la vista. A lo mejor no hay una acusación, pero se hace la afirmación. Y dos, si me podrían detallar cuál es la relación entre el exgobernador y el multimillonario empresario Fernando Cano, porque se ha mencionado como uno de los principales personajes en esta red, pongámoslo entre comillas, de prestanombres. Entonces, si me podrían detallar exactamente qué relación hay y si él durante su gobierno qué contrato firmó con las empresas del señor Cano. Muchas gracias.
There's nothing in the file that suggests that he has any ownership. Why his name was mentioned, the government put it in there. Somebody wrote it in there. But there's no connection made. I can say your name and mention that you have a connection to the property. Anybody could say anything they want to say. They have the right, they have the freedom to say what they want to say, but they have to back it up. And there's nothing to back it up in the file. That's what courts are for. Courts are for to test that stuff. And the government's not going to go to court when they have nothing to back up their story. And again, it's a story. It's not an indictment, it's a story. A woven story together of obscure facts and false testimony that doesn't add up to anything credible.
Ok, Ernestina Álvarez de MBC Radio. Usted señalaba que en el sexenio de Calderón no existían condiciones para llevar este juicio, que incluso se estaba persiguiendo a Yarrington, pero ya se cambió la administración, ya hay un nuevo procurador. ¿En ustedes existe la confianza de que pueda tener un juicio al modo que ustedes consideran justo?
Mire, el procurador Murillo